Good morning, everyone. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay,
Good morning.
like I said, I'm from Missouri, so I'll be your trainer for today. Okay, so I want to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can.
All right. Okay. So we've learned a lot about HTML and CSS. So today we're going to put what we've learned into practice. So I have a page here. I hope everybody can see this page. Okay, so with all we've learned about HTML, CSS, everything about them, we're going to put everything into practice by designing this simple web page. So we'll code along me. So this is going to be like an interactive session. So you code with me as I'm going to work on this page. I'll ask questions and then you can also ask questions as well. So before we start, I have my IDE open, that is my VS Code opened. I hope everyone can see my VS Code.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right. Okay, so I'll create an image folder. I already have an image folder here. So if you are coding with me, you can create an image folder for your images. And then you also need a style folder for your CSS. You're going to use an external CSS. So you need a style folder for your CSS. For me, I'll call my folder style. Then I'll also need an HTML page, which I will name it index.html. .html is an HTML extension. So any HTML that's any web page or any HTML page you're building, you need this an extension that has .html. Okay. Then you need to put up, after having this page, the index.html page, you need to put up the HTML structure. I believe you can still remember the HTML structure. If you don't get offhand, you can press your shift, hold your shift, and then you press 1 to have this exclamation mark, and then you just press your enter. You have this structure. Okay. So we also need a style file. Yeah. So inside my style folder, I'll need to create a CSS file which will have .css extension. So when you look at my screen, you see these icons just um beside the lesson 3 folder. This is just a folder I have in my system for this training. So I have lesson 3 folder. Then beside that lesson 3 folder, you have other icons beside it. You see new file, you see new folder. So if you want to create a folder, you can easily click on new folder to create a folder. I already have the start folder, so I don't need to click on it. But if you want to create a file, you can click on new file. So since I want to create a file, I'll just have to click on it. But before that, I need to click on the location I need that file to go into. So I'll just click on the folder and then click on the new file. Then create my style.html. Style.css rather. Yeah. So for this style.css to interact with your HTML page, you need to add it to your HTML. So I'll do this by adding this. I'll need to specify the location for that my folder, my file rather. The file is inside style. Then the file is called style.css. So when you have this, you automatically link your style file to your HTML page before you can start doing anything you want to do. So we've succeeded in creating or setting up our folder for this project you're about to build now. So what you need to look at now is where to get your images, like this hamburger image here. Where are you going to get them? Where are you going to get some of these images to use for your site? You need to consider that. We have some sites that you can get free images from, like Pixabay. Have you heard of that site? Some of us might heard of that site. Then we have Pixabay. Just type pixabay.com. Then you can search for any image you want. Okay, so this is the home page for Pixabay. So you can actually search for any image you want here, or you just click on them if you found any. Let me assume I want to search for a person image. You just find any image that suits what you want to use for. Then you can also use Unsplash. Okay, you can use Unsplash, and then just as Pixabay, you can equally search for any image you want. And then when you find one, you click on it and then click on download. And then it downloads the image for you. All right. So let's go back to the page and then see how to start this up. So we have the background of black background. So how are we going to add this background? In my style.css, I'll add the background from there. But you notice that the background covers everything on the page. So like this full page is filled with black background. So I'll just add the black to my body tag. I believe we all know the structure of CSS, how to select and then how to add your properties, CSS properties, right?
Yeah.
So I will not go over it again. So I will just add my color. I'll use background for it since it's a background color. I use background color and then set it to black. All right. Then open this page in my browser. I'll open it with Live Server. You can install Live Server if you don't have it. It's an extension in VS Code. So you can come to this extension and then click on the extension. You see different extension. Then just search for Live Server. You get that extension. So what you basically do is just right click on your page and then open with Live Server. All right, so I already have that open, so I'll just go here. So you see my page is black already. Then the next thing we need to look at is the icon here, the hamburger icon. So I will need I'll need an icon for this. So there are so many places you can find icons. You can use Font Awesome icon. You just either use the CDN or you download and then use it for your page. But here I'm going to use the feather icons for this particular project now. So I will search for what I want. That is like the menu. So I'll just search for menu, and then when I click on it, it downloads the icon. Okay. Then when you download the icon, you open it, you open the icon, it is downloaded as SVG. Then another beautiful thing about this site is that you can set the size of the icon that you want. You can set the size you want. You can also set how thick you want that icon to be. Okay, so I recommend this site as well, and then you can also use font also. All right, so let me just use 24 for now. 24, and then make it more bolder. All right, then download. Okay, so here is the icon. Then I'll just copy it and then use it on my, copy it to my folder, to my lesson folder. I have it inside documents. Sorry, it's on my desktop, brother. Okay, so I'll just add it to my image folder. I'll just paste it. All right, so okay, I had it there already, so let me just delete one of these. Then I'll use this. So let's see how we can add this. To add an image, you use the image tag, which is, use the image tag, and then the source src, which indicates your source, the location of that image. So the image is inside image img folder. Let's use this. Sorry, this. Inside img folder. Then inside the img, we now have our image, which is the menu.svg. Then this alt is an alternative. Like if you don't have the image displayed on the site, you can have an alternative text displayed on it. There might be sometimes that your your internet connection is bad and you just need something to replace the image. The image doesn't come up as soon as the page comes up. So what you see first is the alternative text, or the image is not available, like it's not linked properly. So what you see there is the alternative text. You could just have menu logo here. So let's just use that for now, and then let me view what we have on the browser and see if that works. Okay, it actually works, but the thing is the image is a black color, so it will not show on the black background. So since it's SVG, I can quickly change from here to white so that it will show. And this is the color code for white. Okay, so the next thing we'll need is the biography. We can use profile here instead of biography if that sounds right to you. I'll use H1 for that since it's bold enough. Then I'll just type my profile. My profile. Then the next thing will be this image. So I'll go to Unsplash and search for any image of my choice. I don't have my personal image here, so I can just use any image here. Let me use this. Okay, so you locate where this image is and then locate the folder where you have this image and then just copy it to your image folder. All right, so I'll copy this to my image folder. So I have that image here. Let me rename this to profile. All right. Then inside an image folder with the name, profile, and the extension. Wow, this is so big. Okay, so the image is actually showing, but you know that the size of the CSS, the width property for CSS to set the width of the image. So let's do that. And then you also notice that this image is round, like an oval shape. So let's set the image to the width we have or close to that width that we have. I'll just name this profile image. So in my CSS, I will target this image. So let me give this image a class. I'll give it a class of profile image, profile imd. Let's go with that. And copy it to my style.css and then use that same CSS and then give it the property I need to give it to. So let me use 100 pixel, then the height of 100 pixel. And let's see what we have. Okay, that is small. Someone said something.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so that is too small. We can increase the size to make it look similar to what we have. Let me increase it to 300. Right, so we have something like this. You can go with this. Then the thing is, my image is not rounded. I have a square shape here. So how are we going to make it round, just like what we have here on the template? So what we do is to use this property called border radius. other radius, and then set it to, if you want it to be fully rounded, you can set it to 50%, and then it will be fully rounded. Yeah, so we have the round image. But then the thing is that this everything we have is at the center. So how are we going to do so that what we have here comes to the center just like this? Does anybody have suggestion on what to do? You can unmute your mic and speak. What do you think we can do so that all our contents will be at the center, just like what we have on the template?
Please raise your hand first before you unmute your mic. Please raise your hand before you unmute your mic. Okay, Akani, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Go on.
Okay,
I
I
can
think
hear
we
you.
are going to set the margin to 0 and auto before we set it to align item center.
All right. Yeah. Does anybody have any other input on that? Any other person? Okay, yeah, it's correct. So what we're going to do is to group this into a div. First, we need to group this into a div. So let me group everything we have here into a div tag or a section tag, but let me use div. Okay, then I have the class of main content here. So like he said, we use margin for this. Then let's say we have margin of 15 pixels. Sorry, I'm coming. Hold on. This is what he said. So let's see if this works. All right. Did it work? No. Okay. All right, there's something I want to tick in here. So instead of using this, we can use display flex to do this. It's easier. Then when you use display flex, it gives you that flexibility to move the objects. Then you can have justify content center, and then we can set the width to 80% so that we will have that padding in between. Let me use 70. All right. So we have our content, the image at the center, but then we have this hamburger still at the left. So what are we going to do? You know, when you set your display to flex, and then you have all the content inside that particular div that you set it to flex, all the content floats alongside each other. So we will need this whole content inside another div so that all our content will not float along. So I'll just have another div that will wrap this whole stuff inside. Then we still have this. Okay. Well, let's continue. We have a perfect alignment for that. Let's add our name. That is the profile name for this particular image. So for the name, we have let's use p tag for it. We'll have p here, and then the name of your profile, I can use my name. So let me use my name for that. And then the next thing we'll need is a paragraph. All right, so I'll just copy this, and then, okay, let me use let me use H5 for this, since it's like a title. So I'll just use H5 for this. And then for the paragraph, I'll use the paragraph tag for it. Then we'll have the paragraph. Okay. The thing here is that content is not showing because of the background. So by default, your text is black. So what we need to do is to set our text to white so that it will show on the browser. So for our body, we are going to add the color white for our body here. So we have color white for our body, and then we reload. So we have that showing. Okay. Then for the icon here, is that you use font awesome, like I said, or you go to the feather icons, then you have and then just search for any icon of your choice. So we'll search for Facebook icon. And when you click on it, it downloads automatically. I'll still use this size for it. I think that size is perfect. So I'll use that size and then show in folder, copy this and then put it on my folder. Right. Then on my HTML, I'll just use that particular image, that particular icon. So I'll create a div for that will hold the whole icon for me. So I'll just have a div for the social media icons. Then the first one there is the Facebook icon. Yeah. So the Facebook icon is inside my image folder. So I'll just bring that into my HTML page. So I have my image, and I'll bring in the Facebook image, and then my Facebook. All right. Then also search for Twitter and Instagram images. So let's search for that at once. We have Twitter. We have Twitter. I'll download that. Then also download Instagram. Yeah. So I'll copy those two to my folder. I believe everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. If you have any question, you can just stop me and ask your question, please. So we'll have to take that into those two. That is the Twitter and the Instagram images, Facebook. And then we have Twitter image. Then our alternative text will be Twitter too. Then we also have Instagram. And the alternative will also be Instagram. Okay. So let's see if that works. You still need to change the we still need to change the color for those icons. So in my stroke for SVG, stroke has the color that you need to use. So when you have current color, it takes in the current color for that particular page or for that particular div you set it to. But here you can always change the color to whatever color that you want to use. Yeah. And then for the profile too, for the Instagram, yeah, for the Instagram too. Sorry, for Twitter, you can also change it to white. Yeah, and then that should work. Okay, I think there is a mistake somewhere. That is for Twitter. Okay, so that is for Facebook. For Facebook, we have. Okay, so that works. Yeah. All right, so we have this working. But then we need to give it a little padding and spacing too. So what we have here, we have more spacing in between Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. And then in between the paragraph and the social media icon, we also have much space. So we need to give that spacing. So the spacing will go in for the social media. So let's give that a class. And then for that class, we can call it social icons. Then take this to your CSS. Let's close some of these tabs so we don't get confused. Then take it to your CSS and then give it a margin top to move it from top to down a little. Or you can give it, you can set it to margin top equals to margin bottom. Then for right, you set it to 0. So for margin top, we can have 15 pixels. And then for margin right and left, we can have 0 pixel for that. You can choose to put the pixel, you can just leave it at 0, it will still work. So when you reload the page, you have more spacing, things that did not really show. So let's try creating. Okay, then for the spacing in between the social media icons, you can equally select the social media icon and the particular icons you want to give that spacing to. So let's space this Twitter, because when we space the Twitter, it will give spacing to both the space between Facebook and Twitter, and then the space between Facebook and Instagram. So let's just target that Twitter. I'll give this a class. Let's give it a class of Twitter. Okay, so that was a class, so we use this. And then the padding left and right will be, let's use padding for this. Padding left and right, so top and bottom will be 0. Then left and right, we can use, let's use 15 pixels and see if that works. Okay, then we can increase more. That should work. Right. So let's go with that. Then the next thing is this section. We collaborate with brands and create agencies to create memorable experience. So how are we going to go about this? How are we going to go about this section? Can someone tell me? If you have any idea on how to go about this section, you can raise your hand and then you speak up. I want us to be interacting. So does someone have idea on how to go about, okay, will you fraud communication? I don't know if I get that correct.
Okay, yes. I think we will create another dev.
Okay, so as you're talking, sorry, hold on. As you're talking, I'll be doing that. Okay. So we create another div, right?
another div. Then
Okay.
in between it, we use a paragraph.
Okay. We use a paragraph.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then inside the paragraph, we can copy the
Wait,
text.
which of the text? Is it this one or this?
Yes. We collaborate
The
with
first one,
France.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Should I copy along with the sample headline?
I'm not really sure about that. I think we'll copy the first one first. Just that
Okay,
one.
let's copy the first one first. Right, so I'll paste that here. Okay, so what next?
Then we have another paragraph
All
in
right.
between the def too. Then we copy the with well, yes. Then yes, that particular one.
So everything here.
Yes.
All right.
But I don't
Right.
know. Yes, I think so.
Okay. So let's see what we. Is that all?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see what we have. Okay. So this is what we have. Is that what we're supposed to have? All right. Thank you. You tried. Any other person want to try? All right. So Martin, I'm seeing your hand up. Unmute and speak.
All right.
Oh, your hand is down. Okay.
Yes, I'm thinking that we collaborate with should as in that p tag, that paragraph tag now, that dev that has we collaborate with should be
Okay.
followed by another, as in the p tag that has we collaborate with should be followed by another p tag that has that smaller part that is under that we collaborate with in the design you want.
Okay. So to go by
The,
what
the,
you said, we'll
yes, this
have
smaller, the sample headline, yes.
so we have
That's the
it
one that
here,
should
right?
be.
Is that what you're
Yes. So
saying?
yes, but that other p tag there, that's the other p tag we just added, the one that has we dwell in elegance. Abi,
Okay, this
we
one.
should, yes, that one should go to another dev. Let's cut
Another
it off.
day.
Yes,
Okay.
should be in another dev now, but these two devs should be wrapped in a section.
Okay.
These two
So
devs now we just said now, yes, so there should be
okay,
a
so
section.
this one, and this one should be wrapped in a section,
In a
right?
section, yes,
Is that what you're saying?
yes. So
Okay. So I
we
should
need a
use a
section
section tag.
first, yes, section.
Okay, let me
Then
change
we'll
this
not
to section.
section first.
All right.
Exactly. Now, in that section now, we need to give the section a class. We need to give the section a class so that we'll now style it from our CSL and make it display side by side. So we call that section class maybe text area or whatever. What can we call it now? Write up something.
What do you want to call it? You're not instructing me, so what do you want to call it?
Okay, let's call it text area or write up area.
Okay, let's use about.
About, thank you. You're awesome. Yeah, about me.
So
Okay.
let's use this.
So now let's go to the CSS. Then we will now do the about me now. Yes,
Okay.
and then we're going to say display flex.
Okay.
Display flex. Now, please, I want to see the design again. I don't know if that's the second dev has two p tags. Hey, He has now. If you check now, there are about 2 paragraphs or 3 here, Seth, on this other side. That dwelling elegance too is one, and then the principal reason we continue is another one. So I think we should separate them into two p tags so that they will appear as it is here.
Okay,
Uh-huh. So this first one
I
should
have
stop
another.
there. Yeah, exactly.
So
This one should
this
stop there.
closes here,
Yes,
but then
and
you
then
have
another
another
p tag.
filter.
Exactly. That closes
Okay.
down there. Exactly. So I'm seeing another something down there. I don't know what that has a chat or something. Is it part of that section?
Yeah,
Do we
it's
have that
part of it.
logo? Do we have that small logo there?
We'll search for it.
Okay, so if we get that logo, it should still be in that. We have to break. Sorry, remember we have to break those 2 paragraphs. We
Okay,
have to
so
break.
the
Yes, we have to
chat
break.
is going to be inside here.
No, not inside that place now. It has to be outside that tag. But we
Outside
have
the
to.
filter.
Yes, we have to break that one and break the one up too, so that it will be on the next line.
Okay.
I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Get
So
you
that's
correctly what you are saying, like creating another tag and then adding the icon, that is the
the
chat icon, and then you have a
exactly chat us.
then you have chats now.
Mm, chat now. Then
Okay. And then you
that
have the
small
link.
icon now is now where my matter is now. How we can put that image, because that image is in the same line with the chat now.
Okay.
So, but there's something else that we've not done. I think we should break these paragraphs in this second dev. I did get what I'm saying. Just put a BR tag, a break tag at the end of the first paragraph here and the second one.
Okay, so thank you very much.
All right.
You really tried. Okay.
Mm.
So let's see what we have. This is what we have. So we collaborate with, and then we have sample headline on the same line, like break. But what we have here, we have both
You
of
know,
them. We have both of them. We collaborate with the dwelling and the rest of the content on the same line, like the same row. So
what
on
I'm
your
saying is
own, you're not having.
we've not done
Okay,
something on the CSS side. We've not styled it, so we need to style it. Is the
so what
CSS
do I have
styling
here?
display flex? The about me display
Flex.
flex. Okay, so
Do we need any other?
go live first. Let me see what we have. There are some things else we have to do on that CSS and something like that. So we need to still use our we have to what will I call it? We have to use a percentage now. We have to now call that class. We need to call this first dev class and the second dev class. We need to call them in our CSS and then use percentage to share how they will appear. And then we should also have a space in between, something like that, in between them. Okay,
All
we
right,
need to go back to.
thank you. Okay, so for the space, since we are using flex, you can use gap to give that space in between them. So we set our gap to any number. Oh, sorry, does any other person want to try this? Okay. Bami Femi.
All right. I only have input on that first paragraph. We something to the left. If you can show the live view, I think that should be each one, not paragraph, because it looks big. That would collaborate stuff. That's the only thing I want to add.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. That is a nice one. Any other input on this? Okay, let's start this. You're all correct. So what we need for this section is a paragraph. This the heading
A
is
head
an
one, yes.
heading. Yeah, H1. Yeah, because this is like a title and it's bold. So Peter cannot give you this bold except you have to resize it with your CSS. But if we are not doing anything, we just need to use an heading to do this. So we need the heading tag here. So let's use H1 for this since it's very good. Or we can use H2 for that. H2, yeah. So we have it good enough for this. For this. So we collaborate with brands. We still have the title, H2 title. H2. All right. Then this is smaller. We dwelling and the contents is smaller. So we need a smaller heading for that. We can use a smaller heading for this. Let's use H4 for that. So I think we are good with this. So now we need to see how we can give this spacing, the space in between this and this other one. And then we also see how we can add the chat icon to it. So for the CSS class that has a container, let's justify the content space between space between. Okay, let me see the issue we are having here. Okay, so this closes here. This closes here.
Hello, ma. I'm thinking we can use a percentage. Did that we collaborate side?
Hello, Somadina. I said before you talk, please raise your hand, please. Let's follow instructions. Raise your hand before you speak, please.
Joe, sorry, I'm very sorry.
Okay, all right. You can speak up now. So Martina, you wanted to say something. You can speak up now, please.
Okay, thank you. Please, I'm very sorry for that. I skipped the protocol. What I was saying is, I'm thinking that the we collaborate side and the we dwelling side, we can give them classes and then use percentage to split them within that section dev, that section wrapping or whatever, that section tag. They are within the section tag, so we can use percentage. Maybe make it 50-50 or maybe 40 something, and then that gap is now what we maintain what is in between them. That's what I'm thinking, ma. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have so many ways of achieving a particular thing. Okay, so we can use the width as you said. Then you can also use display flex. Okay, so it depends on anyone you choose to use. So in our case, we are going to use DisplayFlex for this, but you can also use with. Did you get that? Did he answer your question? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So let's move on. Okay. Okay, so we need more spacing for this So let me add more space to that. We had 7, so let me use 10. See how much it is. Okay. And then I need to inspect and see what is going on here. Okay, so another thing I would like to show you guys is this inspect element. Okay, so as developer, sometimes you get to troubleshoot your code. So for the web, you can use this inspect. When you right click on your page, you click on inspect, you see inspect there, and then you just click on it. So probably you run into a problem and then you try to figure it out, and then at times there is no way out. You just use this inspect to see what the issue is. So I want to try and troubleshoot this section and see why it is not filling the page. All right. So I'll see the reason why it is not filling the page. In my main content, just the div that contains the whole thing, the whole stuff in my page, I have a width of 70%, and you can see that that is where my width stop. So every other thing that is on that inside that particular div has a maximum width of 70%. So if I remove this width, my contents fill the whole page. Okay, so let me use margin. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do. Okay, so for this your inspect element, you have your elements, which is your HTML content. So everything your HTML, you can see your HTML, your doc type HTML, your HTML, your head, your body, and everything inside your body. So you can inspect and then look at everything you have in your HTML, and then the styling that is associated with each of these elements. So you can pick a tool from this icon. This, I don't know if you can see this, select an element in the page to insert it. This icon that looks like an arrow, you can select that icon and then go to your page, select a particular area. It will highlight that section for you in your inspect, and then you get to see the property associated with that particular element. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. Then for this about, these are all the CSS properties that we added to the about. So if we remove this from here, that cancels it. But that doesn't mean that when you remove it from here, it's going to have the same effect on the page. No. When you reload it, it will still, you still have the content you had on your page. Okay. So this is just to help you to troubleshoot your work. Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is seeing how we can bring this into the center. So like I said, I had a width of 70%, which is actually stopping that text from filling the page, but we still need that width. So what we do is to try to center that content, the whole of the content. So let me add my remove this display flex and justify content, and then try to add margin auto, margin left and right auto, so that all the whole content will be at the center. So this is what I will do. Then margin top bottom is 0. Then sorry, then I have auto here. All right. So that centers. So that will center the everything I have, to bring everything I have to the center. So let's look at what we have. All right. So we have our content at the center. And then let's see how we can do so that this whole text will look exactly as this.
Um, Hello.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Okay. So let's see how we can work around that, make it, and let we collaborate with, and then the dwelling, the principal reason we continue to have the same width and size, just like what we have on the page. Okay. So, okay, so let's make this have a maximum width of 100%. Then for the contents, sorry, hold on. For the contents, we'll give it a class too. Okay, so for each of these content will now have a class of CSS property of display table cell. So let's see if that works. So we have hold on, let me comment this and see what we have on the browser first. Sorry, I'll need to comment this now. Let's look at the browser and see what we have. Okay. Right. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. So let's comment that for now and then try adding
Okay, so apologies, guys. Your trainer is having a bit of a technical issue. I'll sort that within the next 2 minutes, please. Apologies.
So, Ike, I think while we're waiting, we can just have a few questions and answers if we have mentors on the channel.
Okay, yes, we can. So, please, for those who have questions, yeah, just raise your hand and then we'll get to answer your questions. Okay, so Akani, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So I want to ask that, do display inline and display flex, do they work the same way? Hello?
Hello. So display inline and display flex, they are similar, but they are different. So display inline, it's supposed to display elements side by side, but after a little bit of tweaking. So what I mean by tweaking is this. If you display an element inline, let's say you display a block element inline, it's actually going to display inline, but it will still come out under. Okay, let me start from the top. A block element is supposed to take the full width of a web page or a full width of a line, and then whatever any other element comes under it. So if you display inline, it's actually going to display side by side, but this time under, still going to be under. But if you display flex, they both go side by side. So even if it's a block element or an inline element, they go side by side, but display inline will not do it the way display flex is actually going to do it. With display inline, you're going to have to display inline and you're going to have to float left to make them stay side by side together. But display flex actually brings them together immediately. Like there is no need for tweaking more on it. I don't know if you get the point, or I should elaborate further.
Yeah, let me just add to that. So inline, the display flex is a more recent addition to HTML, CSS, and so it's more powerful, it's more flexible, it's easier to use. Inline, you have to do a lot of work to align, just like Franklin has said, you need to do a lot of work for you to align your blocks or your block level elements when you make them inline. But when you make it flex, you can just use one keyword to align them, even the spacing between the, the blocks or the divs or whatever, it's easier to do. So I would always recommend in most cases to use display flex. If you use inline, you have to know what you're doing and you do a lot more work.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Nebet, for that. Okay, so Victoria, go ahead.
Okay, I want to know if we can actually use section without using a div, the div element. Are there situations where you can use section without using the div element? So please clarify on both elements. Because to me, it's as if the div element and the section element is the same thing, but I noticed that the section element most times comes when you want to share the page into two. So I don't know if you can throw more light on it, please. Thank you.
Okay, let me take that also. So the section element is what they call in HTML a semantic element. That is, if you are just using section div, they look the same, but a section element has meaning, has more meaning than div. Div is just, everything is a div, right? In fact, even a section element is actually a div, but it's a semantic in the sense that screen readers will know how to interpret it better. It's browsers may even do some additional styling, when you make it a section element. So you can actually use a section element to do the same thing, or rather, let me put it the other way. You can use a div to do the same thing as section element. But if you want to provide some semantic context, so you need to go and Google what I mean by that. It will be difficult for me to explain, but semantic context means when you say section element, it means that everything in that element or that tag is a single section of your web page. It's a single section. So you can have 3 or 4 sections. Now, what is the meaning of section? That depends on you, on what you're styling and, what you want to do with it. So that's the main difference.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bamifemi, go ahead with your question.
All right, thank you. I've been asking in the chat earlier, and I think Franklin responded, but I just want to ask again since there's time now. I noticed that the way she keeps changing things from black to white one by one. Imagine a big project where you need to say use a lot of icons and you have to be changing them from black to white one by one. Is there no like way at all to do that and just maybe call for everything at once and then change them? Because like in Figma now, UI design, I think there's something called styles. You can create maybe a color style. Once you click on it, it fixes to whatever elements. It's not that you start changing one by one. Or a text style, it changes the font, the color, the size, and the other thing at once. Not that you are doing it one by one, one by one. So I don't know, in code, is there anything like that that can help you do this thing faster? I mean, it's coding now. You're supposed to make stuff fast.
So, Femi, let me still pick you.
Okay.
I get your point. Yes, coding is actually supposed to make things faster, but that's the reason why CSS is there. So the thing is this, HTML is actually a markup language. So whatever you do in HTML, you can't really style with HTML. The only way you can actually style is using CSS. I think when you go further and you get to know of CSS classes, you find that it's actually very easy to style with CSS. So you could create a CSS class and say the style you actually want, say you want to change from black to white, you could give either the background color of black or a color of black or whichever. And then you could call the class on the icon itself and then it automatically changes. So you might not necessarily have to keep going to each icon and then change them to white. You could just give a class and call the class on the icon using HTML and it just works automatically like that.
Okay, thanks, Franklin. So just to add to what Franklin has said, it also depends on the kind of icons. There are some icons that are fonts, some icons are SVG. Now, an icon that is a font, you can treat it like a font. So you, example, background color, foreground. Font awesome is an example of, font icons. Now, SVG icons, you may not actually be able to do a high level styling of all of them, right? There are some icons that you actually have to select a black background version or a white background version. And so if you are using that type, then you have to do it one by one, right? So you have to do, for example, if I don't know, depending on which icon you do, they have icon class names. So icon black beach or something, if you go look at those ones. So for those ones, you actually can't do a high level styling of everything with one single class or select or something, right? For those ones, you have to go and actually change, which icon you want. But for the ones that are font styles, then you can style it. So that will also determine, that helps you choose how you want to go about it. you know. But there are other considerations as well in choosing icons. I hope that helps.
Yeah, good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, Akani, you also have a question again. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask that does a span tag works directly? Does a span tag works exactly like a div tag? Are they the same?
Okay, let me take that. So a span is an inline element, while a div is a block level element. So by default, when you use a div, if you do a div and do another div after it in your markup, right? The div that is after it by default will appear below the div that is the first div. The second div will appear below. But if you do a span and you do a second span, the second span will be to the right-hand side of the first span. So you now need to use extra CSS if you want to change that behavior. That's the main difference. But because a span is an inline type of element, right? There are some styles you apply on a span and it will not work. For example, align left, text align left or align right, or float left or float right may not work on a span because it's an inline level. But if you do that on a div, it will work.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so I think that is all we can take on the question and answer session. Okay, our trainer is back. Okay, Miss Promise, over to you.
All right, sorry, I had internet issues. Okay, so I will start sharing my screen now. I believe everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, go ahead. We can see your screen. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. All right, so okay, so this is what we have. So I'll just continue from where we stop. So what we're trying to do is trying to get this to look just the way it looks on this page, like filling the whole section of the page. So what we'll basically do is getting this class and then also getting this class and then setting each of those class to same width. Okay, so I'll just pick the first class. Let me just pick the first class and then also pick the second class. So each of them will has a width of 50% to have that equal size. Then when you check, when we reload, we have that equal width. Then to center your contents, let's try making everything to be at the center, just the way it is here. Sorry. Okay. So what we will need, so this is the div. This is the div that controls everything on the page, the main div. All right, so what we need to do now is to center, to target this particular div that controls everything on that page. I don't think we need this, so let me just remove this one so that we will not have so much tag used. Okay. Okay, so for this class, you now have we have display flex already for that class. We have display flex for that class, and then we'll have flex direction columns. So we won't have everything on one line. So these columns will break every content that is inside it down. Then we'll have aligned items center to bring everything to the center. So let's see what we have. I believe everyone can see my screen. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have this at the center, which is okay. All right, so the next thing we'll look at is if you have any question, you can raise your hand and then ask your question. Next thing we'll look at is this section. Okay, so before then we didn't add the chat icon to our chat now text. So let's see how we can add the chat icon to the text using the feather icons. We have an icon, then when you search for chat, you have this message icon coming, this message circle icon coming up. So I'll just download that. It is downloaded as SVG. Then I will have to copy it to the folder, to my working directory. I will just copy this, then paste it on my working directory. So I have it there already. I'll just rename this to chat. Then attach it as an image to this to the p tag. Okay, so this and then okay, so let's see if this works. We'll just reload the page. Okay, so since we are using SVG, we need to change the color to have the same color as the text color. So let's just change the text color of that image. So that is chat. Then we change the text color to. But the thing is, if you are using font also, you will not need to change color for any icons you use. It will automatically take in the color you set in for the body. Okay, but since this is an image tag, it will not take in that color. You have to set the SVG color yourself. So let's see if our image or our icon works. Okay, so that works. Okay, then let's see how we can make it to be on the same line with the chat now text. So what we'll still do, we can put this inside the span, break this down, then put this inside the span, and then put our content in there. And then still have a class of chat now. Then display flex. And then justify align items. Sorry, let's use align items so that everything will be on the same rule. Align item, let me use center. Okay, so we now have it on the same rule. And then we can give it a space using gap. Let me give it a gap of 2%. Then we have that space there. So this is perfect. So what we'll now look at is this section. Let's see how we can achieve this section. So for this section, I would like, okay, let me just do this section myself. Then I would also like someone to tell me how we can achieve this section, especially this horizontal line we are seeing here. So if you have any idea, you can raise your hand and then say something. Okay, Dami, I saw your hand up. Okay, Dami, your hand is down. Best.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dami.
Yeah, sorry. I actually have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, under the HTML section in the VS Code, for the we collaborate with brands, I saw that you opened a tag with H2 and then you closed it with the paragraph tag. Why did you? And then the sample headline you did. Is it why? Is there a reason for doing that?
Oh, okay. That is a mistake actually. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
It is not supposed to be that way. Okay, so this is a paragraph and then we close it with H2. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
Okay, so best. Any other question before we proceed?
Okay, for the horizontal line, I think we can use H arrow tag.
Thank you. Yeah, that's correct. Right. So let's open another section for that particular content. So we have our one, which is like a heading, a title, a very bold title. So you still use H1 for that title, and then have our number one there. And then after that number one, we have our HR. And then we have other content that follows, which is we design, people inspired, and all that. So I will just copy this text here. Put it inside the H2 tag. Then let's see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have. But the text is centered, so let's make it centered. Let's give this section a class and then give it text center. Then in our CSS, we're going to give it a text centered property. Okay, so we have text align center, so that all those contents will move to the center. So this is what we have. Then we notice also that there is a space between one and the horizontal line, and there is also a space between the horizontal line and the text below it. So we need to add that space rather. So let's give this HR a class, and then probably give it a margin class. Let's say margin. Let's just use margin. And then in our CSS, we now have the margin, and then we set the property to margin top will be, let's use 5 pixel, might be more than that, and then left and right will be 0. So let's see what we have. Okay, I think we need more. Let's use 10 here. Let me use 5%. Let's see. Okay, let's see why this is not working. Let's see why this is not working the way it should. All right, so let me just inspect and see why it is not working the way it should. Okay, so we have a HR tag here, the line, with the margin of 5 pixels, top and bottom. So if we increase this, it keeps increasing. So I think we need more padding. We need more margin for it to show very well. So you can just increase the number depending on how big the space is. Let's use 7. Sorry. 7 for this. Okay, then we stick to that. But then HR1 and the title here is not as good as what we have here. So what we can actually do is setting the font size and the font width for the text and the one here. So we can have the class of 1, and then for that class of 1 we can set the font size. We can increase the font size to whatever size we want. You can use large, larger, medium, or a number to indicate the size that we want. If we use 30, I think 30 is thick enough. It's not as big as we want. Then we can use 50. Yeah, so this is good enough. Then for the font size, for the thickness, font width rather is for the thickness. So you can do font width. Font width has either bold, bolder, lighter, then the number 900, 800. So depending on how thick you want it to be, you can select the one you want. So let's use 900 and make it very thick. All right, so let's target this other one, make it as thick and as good as what we have on the template. So let's see. Let's use design here. Design paragraph. And then you set our font width to 900, and then we also set our font size to 50 pixels. So this will give us what we want. Then we can also change our color to what we have, to like gray or something. Okay. I would like to take question. If we have any question, I would like to take question from here. I'd like to take 4 questions from here before we continue.
Okay, yeah, so we are in the Q&A session for now. So Bamifemi, go ahead with your question.
All right, thank you. I want to ask, the font now is looking different. Is there a way we can change it?
All right. Oh, yeah, there is a way we can change fonts. There's something called Google Fonts. Google Fonts. So whenever you want to change your font in HTML, you use this website. So Google has so many fonts we can choose from. We have so many fonts we can choose from. So from here we can search for a particular font we want. When you go to the search fonts bar, you can just search for any fonts you want, or from here you can click any of these fonts. Then when you click on the fonts, you select the style you want. So when you select the style, it will show you how to apply this font to your page. So you can quickly use the link option. If you select the link option, then you are using this in your HTML. Then if you select the import option, you're using this in your style. So let's use this link option and change the font of our page. Then you can also select the font size, like italic, bold, or anyhow, any type you want. So for this, instead of using the normal size, I want to select a bolder size. So let me go for this one. Okay, so I select multiple size. So let me remove some of them. So I'll just go for this. Then what I'll basically do is to copy this, go to my HTML file. Then on my head, I'll just put it in between my head tag. Then for the CSS part, you go back to your browser, and then for the CSS, you just add this to your body, or the particular area you want to add that font to. So I'll just use my body and then add this. So when you reload your page, it will change automatically. Right, so we have a different font, but then you can equally compare the font you have here with what you have with the one you choose to select from. Okay, think Roboto doesn't really fit in, so you can select any font that you want, any font of your choice. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so next question, yeah, Balikis Ekun.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. My question is that section, the one section where you styled it through CSS, I think it is possible to style it through HTML. Like, will it make any difference?
Are you talking about using inline styling?
Yes, inline styling.
All right, it doesn't make any difference, but we have to follow the good practice. It is advisable to use your external CSS file to do your styling. If you have everything inside your HTML, it will make it so bulky that you can't even read your code. And even someone that is looking at your code will not be able to read it. So it's advisable to use external style for your styling.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just take two more questions and then we round up. Bali, please.
Okay, so Akani, yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So for that chat part, if we use pseudo class like before and after, will it give us the same effect as the image in our web page?
For the chat, this, right? Yes, it will give you the same effect if you know the code for this for the chat image.
Okay, thank you.
One more question, please. Akani, I'm seeing your hand up. You want to ask question? All right. In the absence of any question, I would like us to try out the remaining part of it. So we have the portfolio section. We also have this other section that we can try out. So I want us to try out this section as an assignment and then every other section that follows. I believe we do not have any other question. Okay, over to Ike.
Okay, so okay, Bamifemi, you have a question. Okay, go ahead. Fast as possible. Hello, Bamifemi, go ahead with your question. Okay, so let's round up. So thank you everyone for
yes, thank you. Please, I just want to ask, this does it work really? I can see that you can see.
Hello, Bamifemi.
Did you get my question?
No, ask your question again.
No, I didn't get your question.
Hello, Bamifemi.
Hello, did you get my question?
Please ask
Hello,
your question.
can you...
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yes, I was asking this nice page. How does it work? Is it to view your works or how does it work?
Sorry, Bami, I didn't really get your question. Can you come over it again?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes, I was asking if this website, this nice page, is it somewhere to get templates or somewhere to view your work? How does it work?
Okay, it's just a templates website. I'll share the link after this.
All right.
Okay, so yes, thank you everyone for participating in the class. Apologies for the technical issues that we had earlier on. Okay, so like your trainer said, your assignment will be to complete the design. So we'll drop the link for everyone. So just check the stage 1 channel. Your assignments will be dropped. And the video is also going to be available on YouTube for those of us who would need to go back to it. Okay, so thank you very much. If you have any questions, please use the Ask a Mentor channel and you would get the assistance that you require. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.